Hey y'all, today we're making Mexican rice with chicken and queso. Okay, so to get started, we're going to go ahead and get our rice cooking because that's going to take a little while to cook and then sit and do what it needs to do. And we want everything to kind of be ready at the same time. So to your pot, go ahead and add about a tablespoon of oil, and we're going to add 3/4 of a cup of rice. And this is just regular old white rice, just long grain white rice. So we're going to need to get this rice browned up a little bit. Now, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and apologize for my voice. I am super congested. I got that which we do not speak of. I have it. I've had it for about a week, but I'm getting better. Still can't smell or taste anything, but, you know, life goes on. Life goes on. So I tried to hold off as long as I could, but I needed to get this voiceover done for y'all, so just bear with my sniffles and snorts and congestion. Okay, so once you get your rice browned, and I cooked mine maybe for about 3-4 minutes, you're going to add in 1/3 cup of tomato sauce. Now, I tried to get y'all a different angle, but the smoke was not cooperating with me, so I had to change angles again so y'all could actually see what I was doing without a face full of smoke. So once you get your tomato sauce all good and mixed in, we're going to go ahead and add in 2.5 cups of chicken broth. Now, I will link the original video for y'all down below. She said to add warm chicken broth. I flat forgot. But mine was not cold. It was room temperature. So just don't add cold chicken broth. So you're going to go ahead. Once we get that added in, we're going to need to add in our seasonings. And I'm going to show you what I used. Don't worry. We're going to add our seasonings in and get them all stirred up. Now, for your seasonings for your rice, you're going to need a teaspoon of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of onion powder. Then we're going to need a pinch of oregano, and yes, that is a official measurement. Whatever a pinch means to you, put that in there. I don't think it really matters. I might have put 1/4 of a teaspoon in there. Then we're going to add in 1/2 teaspoon of cumin. Then we're going to add in a tablespoon of chicken bouillon. This is just the powdered bouillon. And I got that big old honking container at Sam's because why not? We use chicken broth all the time. And then I added in a teaspoon of salt. And that's all you're going to need for the seasonings for your rice. So dump that right into your rice and chicken broth mixture. Then we're going to stir it around real good. And then we're going to let this come to a boil. We're going to cook this the same way that we cook regular rice pretty much. You know, you bring it to a boil, you cut the temperature down, cover it, simmer it for a little bit, and then let it sit. Same thing that we're going to do here. So once our rice comes to a boil, see, we got us a little boil going there. Cut your fire down to about medium-low, depending on how hot your stove is. These electric stoves, you know, they're all crazy and they do all kinds of weird stuff. I put mine a little closer to low. Put the lid on, let it simmer for 10 minutes. And then once it simmers for 10 minutes, take it off and just sit it to the side. Leave it covered, don't uncover it. Okay, now we're going to get our chicken ready. So what I have is 3 chicken breasts. And that's just because that's what I had. If you want more chicken, if you're feeding more people, you definitely can cut up more chicken. If you don't need as much, then you can half the amount of seasoning, half the amount of, you know, whatever. Do what you need to do, adjust it however you need to. So when I'm doing my chicken, y'all know I rinsed my chicken off. I say wash a lot, but I don't wash it with soap, y'all. I just rinse it off because there's usually gunk and bone, and I just can't deal with that. So anyway, but you do you, boo. Do whatever you want to do. But anyway, trim your chicken up. And then I sliced it long ways because I don't want the pieces of chicken to be real thick in this. So I trimmed it up and then I sliced mine long ways. Then I'm going to cut it into strips and then I'm going to cut it into smaller pieces. Now, you can cut yours however you want to, however you prefer yours to be. But the recipe that I found bits and pieces of this from different places, from TikTok and from YouTube and all that kind of stuff. I'll link what I can down below. But this is the closest I could find to what we used to know at the Mexican restaurant we used to eat at. It was called a happy plate. So I've only ever seen one other Mexican restaurant that serves something called a happy plate. Now, I'm sure they serve versions of this, but happy plate's what we always knew it as, and this was my daughter's very favorite. So I wanted to see if I could recreate it for her, and I'm going to tell y'all, she loved it. She loved it. Her husband loved it, and he's a hard critic, honey. He's hard to please. So I have to, it's good when he approves. But anyway, we're going to need to season this chicken up, y'all. So we're going to go ahead and add in a tablespoon of onion powder, a tablespoon of garlic powder. Then we're going to add a tablespoon of chili powder. We got to get some good seasoning on this chicken because, you want it to taste like the real thing, like what we got at the restaurant, right? So then we're going to add in a tablespoon of cumin. I know this seems like a lot, y'all, but it's not. And let me tell you, this added some really good flavor to this chicken. Then we're going to add in 1 packet of this Goya. Now look, I don't know how to say that word. Saison. I have a friend whose last name is Saison, so that's what we're going to call it. So anyway, add you a little packet of that. And I got that at the Dollar Tree. So if you're wondering where to find that at, you can find it anywhere, but I did find a box of it at the Dollar Tree, just FYI. Then you're going to add in a teaspoon of salt and a teaspoon of pepper. And that's all we need for our seasoning for our chicken. So now we're going to get our chicken cooking. You're going to need 2 tablespoons of butter and 2 tablespoons of whatever kind of oil you use. I'm using olive oil. You can use canola oil, vegetable oil, whatever. It doesn't matter, y'all. Just 2 tablespoons of it. Ain't got to be perfect. It's not an exact science. Just get it in your pan. You need some oil. You need some butter. We're going to let our butter get good and melted down into our oil, okay? Once our butter is all nice and melted and everything's all good and mixed together, we're going to get our chicken cooking. And y'all see, using that wooden spatula. Y'all, I'm telling you, that is my favorite thing in the world. I love those things because they don't scrape your pans up, and my pans are scraped and crusty enough as it is. I don't need any more damage to them. But anyway, like I said, I'll link them for y'all if anybody wants any because they're really, really good. So once you get your butter all mixed up and your oil is hot, you're going to go ahead and add that chicken we cut up right over into your pan. Now, you're going to want to try to get this into as thin a layer as you can, or as spread out as you can. Lord, always. Y'all, I can't cook nothing without making a mess. But I do clean up behind myself, so, that's got to count for something, right? Just clean it up while I can right there, and then I'll scrub it down later. So anyway, you're going to want to try to get this chicken into as much of a, single layer as you can, just to make sure that we get all our chicken coated pretty even. Now, it's not going to take you very long to cook this chicken because the pieces are pretty small. I think it took me maybe, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 minutes. What I do is I cook it around, and once it's, okay, when you cook chicken in a pan like this, or steak or anything, but we're going to say chicken because that's what we're cooking. When you cook your chicken in a pan like this, when that cold chicken hits that hot stuff, it's going to stick to the bottom of your pan. So if you try to stir it and your chicken is stuck, just leave it alone for a second, because when it's ready to be moved, it's going to release itself from the bottom of that pan, and then you're going to be able to stir it around easier. See that? See how easy it's moving around? But if you try to stir it before it's ready to be stirred, when it's still stuck, it's going to kind of rip your chicken apart a little bit. So just be careful with that. Plus, it makes it a lot easier, to stir if you let it sit for a minute. So we're going to go ahead and, like I said, about 5 or 6 minutes it's going to take to cook this chicken. So I let it cook for just a minute, and then I went ahead and dumped all that good seasoning over in there. And then I mixed it up. You want to make sure that all of your chicken is good and coated in that seasoning. And you can wait to add your seasoning if you want to, but I like to add mine in kind of early because then as it cooks, it just takes on more of that flavor. It just gives that seasoning more time to kind of soak into your meat, So you're just going to let this cook, like I said, about 5 or 6 minutes until your chicken is cooked through. Now, if you feel like you need to put a temperature thing in these little pieces of chicken, you certainly can. It needs to be 165 degrees, y'all. But It's real, like I said, it's real easy to cook pieces of chicken that are this small. Just if you're not sure, find the biggest piece of chicken in there and cut it in half and see if it's done in the middle. You know, just cut a couple pieces in the middle and see if they're done. That's the easiest way to do it. So, like I said, but it doesn't take long. So just stir it around, you know, pretty frequently, you know, as you're cooking it along, because you don't want it to burn, but you want to make sure that everything gets, you know, good and cooked up. So you see our rice is sitting over there. We just letting that rice do its thing, y'all. We are letting it do its thing. Okay, so now we got our chicken cooked. We're going to go ahead and get started on our queso. So what you're going to need is 1 block of pepper jack cheese. That's an 8-ounce block. And y'all know, well, you ain't seen it in a while probably. I love this darn cheese shredder. This is the easiest thing. It pops together real quick, it comes apart real quick, and it shreds cheese in no time. And you don't lose any flesh off your knuckles or nothing trying to shred cheese. It's just so fast. A lot of times I'll buy several blocks of cheese of whatever kind we eat a lot, and I'll just spend a few minutes shredding everything up. Then I put it in Ziploc bags and stick it over in the freezer, and then we have cheese anytime we want it. Because, you know, it's always better when you shred it yourself, but sometimes we do go for convenience and just use the pre-shredded stuff, and that's okay too. That is certainly okay. If you don't have a shredder or you don't want to shred it, you could just get you a bag of pepper jack cheese if that's what you want to do. You just need 8 ounces of it, y'all. But I'll link that shredder down below if anybody wants one. So then to our pot, we're going to add in 1 can of evaporated milk, and that's just a regular size can of evaporated milk. Then we're going to add in 16 ounces, and this is the smaller block of Queso Blanco Velveeta. Just add that right into your evaporated milk. Now, I did let that milk warm just for a minute before I added the cheese because I didn't want my milk to scald while my cheese was trying to melt. You know what I'm saying? So I let it, you know, just kind of heat just a little bit. Then I added in, you know, cut it into little pieces and add in that block of Velveeta. Now we're going to add in that whole 8 ounces of pepper jack cheese. Add that right over the top. And I'm going to tell y'all, this queso, to me, and I'm not just saying this because I made it, honestly, this is better than restaurant queso to me. It is so good. I was real leery because I'm not the biggest Velveeta fan a lot of times, so I was a little leery of that, but trust the process. This is good, y'all. All right, then you're going to add in 1 small can of, and I'm not sure how much that, I think it's a 3 something, maybe a 4 ounce can of diced green chilies. And I use the mild because y'all know I can't handle the heat. But if you like hot queso, then add in the hotter, you know, chilies if you want to. It's going to have a little bit of a kick from the pepper jack anyway. But then once you get everything added, you're just going to stir this around until everything is melted, and that's it. But make sure when you're doing this, y'all, that you're scraping the bottom of that pan because you don't want that cheese and milk to burn to the bottom of your pan. Okay, so now we're going to check out this rice we cooked, y'all. And look, I knew when I came across the video for this one that this was going to be good because somebody's abuela made this. And I'm going to tell y'all, if somebody's grandma made it, you know it's good stuff. So it looks a little dark right there, so I'm going to lift this fork full up so y'all can actually see the color on this. You know, it's that pretty red color that you get, or kind of orangey color that you get from the rice in the Mexican restaurant. Y'all, I could have just ate this pot of rice just right by itself. Look at that. Look, it's kind of blurred. Wait, let me straighten it out for y'all. There we go. Look at that. Look how good that looks. And y'all, the flavor, phenomenal. Okay, so now we're going to put it together. I'm going to put it together like the restaurant used to put it together when my daughter ordered her Happy Plate, okay? So what we do is put down a little bed of rice. Then we're going to layer some of that chicken right on top of our rice. Now, my son don't like rice. So what he did was he did the chicken and the queso with chips. So, you know, you do whatever works for you, whatever fits your lifestyle and fits your whatever you like to eat. How about that? But if you like all these things, I would definitely highly suggest you to pile it up just like I'm doing here, because it is so dang good. All right, so bed of rice, top it with some chicken, and then pour your queso right over the top. And y'all, I am telling you, I don't even know what to say, but I'm telling you, my daughter was a huge fan. My son-in-law said this is probably one of the best dishes overall that I have ever cooked. He loved it. And like I said, y'all, he's hard to please. So I took that as a huge compliment. So y'all just make sure that you try this. All right, that's all I got for y'all today. I'm going to catch y'all on the next one. Bye, y'all.